The desert of red sand stretched endlessly under two burning suns. Aaron walked slowly through it, each step heavier than the last. His boots sank into the hot red dust, and the heat wrapped around him like fire. His water pack was empty, his lips were dry, and his throat burned with every breath. He tried to hold on, but his mind felt light and dizzy, as if the desert wanted to swallow him whole. He had crashed on this strange planet only a few hours earlier. Or maybe more. Time felt strange here, slow and heavy. His ship had been hit by a sudden energy wave from the surface. One moment he was traveling through space. The next he was falling, spinning, crashing into the desert. The shock had stunned him, and when he woke, he found nothing but endless red sand everywhere. Aaron kept walking because stopping meant death. He scanned the desert but saw no rivers. Number plants, no signs of life, only heat, dust, and the strange whisper of wind moving through the sand. The suns were high, burning his skin even through the suit. His legs trembled, but he pushed forward because humans do not give up easily. After hours of walking, his vision blurred. Shapes twisted in front of him, turning into shadows and fading away again. He blinked hard, trying to stay awake. And then something impossible appeared before him, not a mirage. Not a shape made by heat, a small wooden hut stood in the middle of the desert. A hut on an alien world where nothing else existed. Aaron stopped, confused, almost afraid. The hut looked old, with cracked wooden walls and a crooked door. He wondered if it was real or if his mind was playing tricks on him. But the hut did not waver like a mirage. It looked solid and real. And even if it was a trap, he needed shade, he needed water, he needed hope. He took slow steps toward it, every muscle in his body hurt. But the promise of shelter kept him moving as he reached the hut. He placed his hand on the rough wooden surface. It felt real, warm from the sun, not an illusion. He let out a weak sigh of relief. For the first time since the crash, he felt a small spark of safety. He raised his hand and knocked on the door. "Hello. Is anyone here?" He whispered, his voice cracked from thirst. No answer came, only silence, but then something else happened. Something he could not explain. The ground trembled under his feet, just a little at first, like a soft heartbeat under the sand, then stronger. A deep vibration rising from below the surface. Aaron stumbled back, fear rising in his chest. The hut creaked, dust falling from its roof as if something massive moved beneath it. He looked around the desert, but saw no creatures, no machines. Nothing that could make such a noise, yet the tremor grew stronger. And the red sand around him began to shift. A low rumble echoed across the empty land. It felt like the planet itself was waking up. Aaron's heart beat fast. He pushed the door slightly, hoping to hide inside. But the inside of the hut was dark, too dark, and cold air drifted out. How could cold air exist in this burning desert? He wondered. The temperature change made him shiver. Despite the heat pressing on his back, he peered inside, but saw nothing. Only shadows stretching like long fingers across the floor. Something about the darkness felt wrong. Too deep, too silent, he stepped back again, unsure if entering was safe. But staying outside felt dangerous too, behind him. The sand swelled upward like a rising wave. A shape moved beneath it. Slow but heavy, Aaron stared at it, frozen. The sand bulged higher, forming a mound as large as a small hill. The tremor deepened into a growl from the earth itself. Then everything stopped. The desert went silent, too silent. Even the wind held its breath. Aaron swallowed hard, feeling the dryness in his throat cut like a blade. He did not know if something was coming out of the sand, or if something below had simply shifted. But he knew one thing for sure. This planet was not empty. And the hut was not abandoned. He turned toward the door one more time. Unsure if knocking again was brave or foolish, the silence was heavy, waiting. And Aaron felt that whatever he did next would change his fate forever. The tremor faded, but the fear in Aaron's chest did not. He stood between the strange hut and the sea of red sand, unsure which danger was worse. The heat pressed against his back. But from inside the hut, cold air still leaked out. Brushing his skin like icy fingers, Aaron took one shaky step away from the doorway, hoping to understand what was happening, but before he could think, a shadow moved behind him, long and wide, covering him like a dark blanket. Aaron froze. Slowly, very slowly, he turned his head. At first, he thought he was looking at a wall, a moving wall. But then he saw it a leg thicker than a tree trunk, skin rough like stone, and far above it, a face watching him. She was huge, taller than any creature he had ever seen. Her silver eyes glowing faintly in the harsh sunlight. A giantess, not a myth, not a story reel. And standing only a few steps behind him, her long, dark hair fell like ropes down her back. And when she breathed, the air shuddered around her. She looked down at him and let out a deep, amused sound that rolled out of her chest like thunder. It was laughter, loud and cruel, shaking the sand beneath his feet. "Not my order," she said, her voice rumbling through the air, too small, too thin. "Not the one I paid for." Aaron's skin turned cold despite the burning suns. She wasn't confused, she wasn't surprised, she was disappointed. As if she had expected someone else, someone tastier. Aaron stumbled back, but her massive foot slid in front of him. Keeping him from running, she leaned down, her shadow swallowing him whole. Her face came close, too close, and she sniffed him like someone testing fruit at a market. Her lips curled into a grin, showing sharp, flat teeth. "Not meaty enough," she whispered, almost playful. Aaron's heart pounded. "I am not food," he said. But his voice cracked and came out weak. The giantess laughed again, shaking her head slowly. "They all say that," she replied. Until the Sandlord proves them wrong, her words made no sense to Aaron, yet they filled him with fresh fear. Before he could react, she reached down with one hand. Her fingers were larger than his arm, but she didn't crush him. She lifted him like someone lifting a small doll. Her grip strangely gentle. Aaron struggled, but it did nothing. Her strength was far beyond anything human. She shrugged and tossed him lightly toward the hut. He landed on dusty wooden boards, coughing, the cold air inside the hut wrapped around him. Chilling his sweat-covered skin, he pushed himself up and looked around. The inside was bigger than he expected, filled with strange metal cages, bones of unknown creatures, and thick ropes made from some alien fiber. Hanging from the ceiling were glowing collars with blinking lights, all sized for something much larger than a human. Aaron's eyes were drawn to a small device on the wall. A hologram flickered to life when he touched it, showing a list of things ordered by someone on this planet. His heart dropped as he read the words glowing in the air. One human well-fed, delivered alive, not her order, which meant someone else had wanted him delivered here. A quiet beep came from the corner. Aaron turned and saw a metal collar lying on the floor, blinking brighter and brighter, without warning. It projected a scanning beam that swept across the room and stopped on his face. A small screen lit up, showing his position, his body status, and a timer counting down. Someone out there now knew exactly where he was. Footsteps thundered outside, slow and heavy, shaking the hut. The giantess stuck her head through the doorframe, her silver eyes glowing again. "Do not break anything," she said. "I may trade you later." Aaron's voice trembled. "Trade me? To who?" She only gave him a wide smile, the kind that did not reach her eyes. "To the Sandlord," she answered. "He ordered you." Aaron felt the blood drain from his face. If the giantess was frightening, Then a creature powerful enough to scare her must be far worse. He backed away as she stepped inside, each footstep making the hut tremble dangerously. She looked around, sniffed the air again, and let out a low hum. "You are not the human he wants," she said. "But you will still cause trouble." Her tone changed, not playful anymore, but thoughtful. She leaned close, her enormous eye filling Aaron's vision. "Maybe I should hide you," she whispered. "Or maybe I should hand you over." Aaron stared at her, unsure which choice was worse. Outside, something roared in the distance, a metallic, hungry sound cutting through the wind. The giantess lifted her head and frowned. "He is early," she said. "The drones are already coming." The sound of drones echoed across the desert like angry metal insects. Aaron pressed his back against the cold, hot wall. Shaking, the giantess stood at the entrance, blocking the sunlight with her huge body. Her stone-like skin glowed faintly as she listened to the distant hum growing louder and louder. "They come fast," she muttered, her deep voice filled with annoyance. Too fast for comfort, Aaron swallowed. "Are they coming? For me?" She turned her head just enough for one silver eye to stare down at him. "They do not fly across the desert for fun," she said. "They smell fresh human meat." Aaron felt his legs weaken. "But you said I'm not your order," he said quietly. The giantess laughed, shaking dust from the ceiling. "That is true." "Little human," she replied, "you are too thin for my taste." Her tone softened slightly, as if she found his fear amusing. "But the Sand Lord, he eats anything that screams." Aaron's heart thudded painfully in his chest. He looked around the hut, hoping for a weapon, a tool, anything to defend himself, but all he saw were rusty cages and thick ropes. Things meant for holding creatures much bigger than him. Not for saving him, the giantess stepped deeper into the hut, her massive foot landing beside Aaron with a heavy thud. She crouched down, lowering herself until her face was leveled with his. "Do not fear me, small human," she said, her voice unexpectedly calm. "If I wanted to eat you, I would have already swallowed you." Aaron forced a nervous breath, unsure whether that was comforting or terrifying. She lifted one large hand and pinched his arm gently between her fingers, as if testing him again. "Humph, still too thin?" she said. "You would not fill half a tooth." Aaron winced. "Can you stop calling me food?" The giantess tilted her head, confused. "But you are food," she replied softly. "You just have not been eaten yet." A sudden explosion outside shook the hut. Red sand burst upward in a huge arc, and a drone screamed through the air, its blades glowing bright blue. The giantess snarled, a deep, animal-like sound. She reached into a corner of the hut and grabbed a massive wooden beam, thicker than a tree trunk. Her muscles bulged as she stepped back outside. "Stay here," she commanded. "If you run, you die." Before Aaron could answer, she swung the beam with impossible strength. A drone shattered in midair, falling to the sand in a burst of sparks. The remaining drones circled her, firing energy beams that lit up the sky. But the giantess moved fast, faster than Aaron expected for her size. Aaron's fear mixed with awe as he watched her fight. Still, he knew she could not stop all of them. If even one drone caught him, he was finished. He stumbled back inside the hut. That's when he noticed the blinking collar again. Its scanning beams spread across the floor, glowing brighter each second. Aaron stepped closer and saw text on the small display. "Target lock delivery in progress." Panic rose inside him. The drones weren't searching. They already knew where he was. He had been marked, tagged like a hunted animal. And someone, somewhere, was waiting to collect him. The giantess roared outside, another drone crashing to the ground. Aaron grabbed the collar, trying to shut it off, but it clung to his hands like a living thing. It hummed, then tightened around his wrist with a snap. Aaron gasped, pulling, twisting, but the device locked in place. A sharp pain ran through his arm as it injected something into his skin. "No, no, no," he whispered, heart racing. The collar projected another message. Status, prepared for transport. Aaron stumbled out of the hut. "Help! This thing is on me," he shouted, holding up his arm. The giantess crushed another drone under her foot, then looked at him sharply. Her eyes widened, and for the first time, she looked afraid. "Foolish human," she growled. "You activated the beacon." Aaron shook his head. "I didn't mean to." She crouched and tried to pull the collar off, but even her strength failed. "It is old Sandlord tech," she said. "Only he can remove it." Aaron felt cold inside, despite the burning suns. "So, he's coming for me." The giantess nodded slowly. "Yes," she said, "and he never misses his meals." She paused, staring at him with a strange, unreadable expression. Then she lifted him with both hands, carefully and almost protectively. "You are not my order," she said. "But maybe you are useful." Aaron blinked, shocked. "Useful? How?" The giantess looked toward the distant dunes where more drones approached like a cloud. "Because now," she whispered, "I must hide you. Or we both die." The giantess held Aaron tightly as she ran from the collapsing hut. Her huge feet kicked up waves of red sand while the drones chased them like angry hornets. Aaron clung to her hand, the metal collar burning around his wrist with every movement. He felt the vibration of each step through his bones as the giantess rushed toward a tall line of stone ridges rising in the distance. "Where are we going?" Aaron cried, struggling to breathe against the harsh wind. "To a place where drones fear to fly," she answered, her voice rumbling like rolling thunder. Aaron twisted his head to look back. The hut was now only a broken frame, sparks dancing where energy beams had hit it. Smoke curled into the sky as more drones arrived. Scanning the desert for him, the collar beeped again, sending a cold shock up his arm. "Can you break this?" Aaron begged, raising his wrist. The giantess shook her head, her silver eyes narrowing. "I told you, this is Sandlord tech," she said. "His mark binds to the bones." Aaron's stomach twisted. "Why? Why does he want me so badly?" The giantess snorted, almost amused. "Humans taste rare," she said. But that is not the only reason. Her pace slowed as they reached the rig stall. Sharp formations that curved like giant claws rising from the earth. The air grew cooler, shadows stretching in every direction. This place felt older, deeper, dangerous in a different way. The giantess lowered Aaron to the ground and pressed a finger to her lips. "Quiet now," she whispered. "Even the sand listens here." Aaron crouched low beside her massive foot. His heart pounding in his ears, he had so many questions. But the silence of the canyon swallowed every thought. It felt like stepping inside the ribs of some ancient creature long dead. The stone walls echoed faint clicks and distant moans carried by crawling wind. "What is this place?" Aaron asked softly. "The Spine Canyons," she answered. "The bones of the planet." Aaron frowned. "Bones? This is rock." The giantess shook her head slowly. "No," she whispered. "Long before my people came, something lived here." Something big. Aaron swallowed hard, suddenly feeling very small in the giant canyons. The drones buzzed overhead, but they did not enter the canyon. They circled above, confused, their scanners flickering with static. Aaron exhaled in relief, but the giantess did not relax. "Do not trust this safety," she said. "The Sandlord has ways to hunt even in the spine." She guided Aaron deeper between the stone walls until they reached an opening. Inside was something unexpected, a crashed warship. Half swallowed by the canyon floor, it was old, covered in thick dust, with scratches along the hull like claws had tried to tear it apart. Aaron stepped closer, his eyes widening. "This is human tech," he whispered. "This ship is from Earth fleets." The Giantess watched him with interest. "You know this metal?" she said. Aaron nodded slowly, touching the broken hull. "Yes," he said. "My people built this." Then a painful thought struck him. If this ship crashed here, then humans have been on this planet before. The Giantess crouched down beside him. "My people did not bring you here," she said. "Your kind came long ago." Before the Sand Lord ruled the desert, Aaron felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity twisting inside him. "What happened to them?" he asked. The Giantess lowered her voice. "They disappeared." Aaron's breath caught. "How?" She pointed to his collar. "Like you. They were marked." Her tone grew dark. "And the Sand Lord does not release what he marks." Aaron backed away, his legs shaking. "So you saved me because I can fix machines." The Giantess nodded, her silver eyes glowing in the shadows. "This ship still breathes," she said. "Its heart sleeps, but if you can wake it, its walls can protect us." Aaron approached the open hatch of the ship. Inside, faint blue lights flickered like weak heartbeats. The air smelled of metal and dust. He felt a wave of cold air roll over him. Some systems were still alive after all this time. "This ship has a shield core," Aaron murmured. "If I can power it, maybe it can block the Sand Lord's signal." The Giantess grinned. "Showing sharp teeth? Good," she said. "Then work fast." "Human," a distant roar echoed through the canyon. It was deep, metallic, and too large to belong to any drone. The Giantess froze, her expression turning serious. "He comes," she whispered. "The Sand Lord walks the desert himself today." Aaron felt the collar tighten around his wrist, glowing brighter than before. As if answering a master's call, he turned to the Giantess, fear rising in his voice. "What do we do?" She placed her massive hand behind him, pushing him gently toward the ship. "We fight," she said, "or we run." Her silver eyes darkened. "But first, you must wake the ship." The warship's broken interior glowed with weak blue lights. Aaron stepped inside, feeling the cold metal floor vibrate under his boots as old systems tried to wake up. Behind him, the Giantess stood at the canyon entrance, watching the desert with sharp, tense eyes. The roar that had echoed moments earlier still hung in the air like a warning. The spine canyons felt tighter, darker, as if the walls themselves listened to every sound. Aaron wiped sweat and dust from his face and crouched beside the shield core chamber. The machine was old, wrapped in broken cables and cracked metal plates. But he recognized the structure. It was human design. Created for survival in harsh alien zones, it still has power, Aaron whispered, touching the warm surface of the device. "If I can reconnect the main circuit, maybe the core will wake." He pulled out a loose panel and saw burnt wiring inside. The damage was old, but not impossible to fix. He took a deep breath and reached into the wires, sparks kissing his fingers. Behind him, the canyon trembled again. Louder this time, the Giantess looked over her shoulder, teeth clenched. "Hurry," she warned, her voice low and serious. "The Sand Lord's breath shakes the sand." Aaron almost dropped the panel. "Breath? You mean he's that close?" She nodded once. "When he hunts, the earth hears him." Aaron's hands moved faster, twisting wires, tightening bolts, connecting circuits. He felt the collar on his wrist pulsing in rhythm with each tremor like it was answering a distant heartbeat. "You said humans came here before," Aaron said while working, his voice tight with fear. "Did they also face the Sand Lord?" The Giantess stepped closer to the ship, her eyes darkening. "Yes," she said. "And they failed." Aaron swallowed hard. He didn't want to fail. He didn't want to disappear like the others, swallowed by a desert creature he had never seen. A soft hum rose from the shield core. Lights flickered faster, brighter, turning from blue to white. Aaron grinned weakly. hope blooming inside him. "It's waking," he whispered. The giantess lowered her giant face near the opening. "Watching closely. Good," she said. "But it is not enough to hide you." The canyon trembled again, but this time the sound was different. It wasn't a roar, it was a clicking metallic rhythm, like giant claws dragging across steel. Aaron froze, his breath shaking. "What is that?" The giantess didn't answer at first. Her eyes narrowed, her shoulders tensed. Finally, she whispered, "He has sent his hunters." Aaron looked outside the ship. Shadows moved between the canyon walls, tall and thin like metal skeletons. Their glowing eyes swept over the stone as they searched slowly. "Those aren't drones," Aaron said. Voice shaking, the giantess growled softly. "No," she said. "They are the Sand Lord's walking servants." The shield core suddenly roared to life. Sending a wave of cold air through the ship, Aaron stumbled back, shielding his eyes from the bright pulse of light when he opened them again. A shimmering barrier spread across the broken walls like liquid glass. "It worked," he whispered. His voice trembled with relief. "We're hidden from scanners." Outside, one of the tall metal hunters moved past the canyon entrance. It paused, sniffed the air, despite having no mouth. Aaron held his breath. The giantess remained still as stone. After a long moment, the creature moved on, its claws scraping the canyon floor. "We only have moments," the giantess whispered. Before the Sand Lord himself reaches the spine, Aaron felt the collar pulse again. Harder this time, almost painful. "What happens when he gets here?" he asked. The giantess leaned closer, her voice low and grim. "He calls what he marked," she said. "No matter where it hides." Aaron grabbed his wrist, as if he could stop the collar with his fingers alone. "There has to be a way to block it," he said, breathing fast. "There has to be something else on the ship." The giantess shook her head. "This is no ordinary beacon," she said. "It is linked to your heartbeat." Another roar echoed across the canyon. Louder, deeper, Aaron felt it in his bones, in his teeth. In the hollow space inside his chest, the giantess stepped into the ship's doorway. Her jaw tight. "He is close," she said. Too close, Aaron looked at her desperately. "What do we do now?" She glanced at the rising canyon walls, at the shadows moving like wind-blown spears. "We run deeper into the spine," she said, "where even the Sand Lord does not walk easily." Her giant hand reached for him. Gentle but urgent. "Come, human," she said. "Your death will not be today." Aaron grabbed her finger for balance as she lifted him to her shoulder. The ship hummed behind them, its shield glowing like a fading moon. The giantess stepped into the twisting canyons. Where darkness grew thicker and the air colder, the Sand Lord roared again, closer now, shaking red dust from the canyon walls like falling rain. And together they ran deeper into the shadows. Toward danger, toward mystery, and toward whatever waited in the heart of the spine. The spine canyons grew darker as the giantess carried Aaron deeper into the twisting stone maze. Cold winds moved between the canyon walls like living whispers, brushing against Aaron's skin with icy fingers. The roaring of the Sand Lord faded behind them for a moment, but the echoes still trembled through the red dust, every sound, every drip of water. Every fall of loose pebble felt too loud in the narrow canyon. Aaron clung to the giantess's shoulder, trying to steady his breathing as the collar on his wrist pulsed like a second heartbeat. "Is he still following us?" Aaron asked, his voice trembling. The giantess kept walking, her steps silent despite her size. "He follows everything marked by his beacon," she said. "He will come." But not yet. Aaron looked behind them, afraid he might see a shadow larger than the canyon itself creeping after them. But the only movement came from the thin mist drifting along the canyon floor like a ghost. After several minutes, the giantess stopped at a place where the canyon opened into a hidden chamber. Here, the walls rose like curved ribs, and strange glowing plants clung to the stone. Lighting the area with pale blue light, Aaron blinked in surprise. The sight was beautiful, almost peaceful. Unlike the deadly desert outside, the giantess lowered him gently to the ground. Her massive hands surprisingly careful. "You will rest here," she said, her voice firm but not unkind. Aaron shook his head. "I can't rest." "Not now, you must," she replied. "Your heartbeat is too fast." The collar responds to fear. Aaron looked at the glowing device on his wrist. "So? If I stay calm, it stays weak." The giantess nodded slowly. For a little while, she said, "But fear always returns." Aaron sat on a smooth stone, trying to steady himself. He wondered how a creature so huge could speak so calmly while a monster hunted them both. "Why are you helping me?" He finally asked. "You could have left me to the drones." Her silver eyes glowed softly as she stared at the canyon ceiling. "For many seasons, I survived alone," she said. "I hunted, I traded, I avoided the Sandlord." She looked down at him. "But today, something changed." Aaron frowned. "Changed how?" "You are the first human I have seen who does not scream," she said. "You ask questions instead." Aaron gave a weak laugh. "If I screamed every time I was scared, I'd be screaming forever." The giantess let out a low rumble of amusement. "Perhaps," she said. "But there's more." She bent down until her huge face was level with his again. "You touched the old ship," she said, "and it woke." Aaron blinked. "I just repaired the wires." The giantess shook her head. "No human," she said. "The ship responded to you." Aaron felt a chill creep up his spine. "That doesn't make sense," he whispered. The giantess tapped the ground lightly with one massive finger. "The spine remembers everything that walks it," she said. "And the ship is part of that memory." Aaron stared at her, confused. "What are you saying?" "That you are more valuable than food," she replied, "and more dangerous." Aaron's heart raced again. "You think I'm dangerous?" The giantess nodded. "If the Sandlord wants you alive, then you hold something he needs." Aaron shook his head. "I don't have anything, maybe not in your hands," she whispered. "But perhaps in your blood." Before Aaron could ask what she meant, the ground shook beneath them. A distant roar rolled through the canyon like thunder trapped in stone. The giantess stood tall, her muscles tensing. "He is closer," she said. "Too close." The glowing plants flickered as dust rained from the canyon ceiling. Aaron jumped to his feet. "What do we do?" "We can't outrun him forever." The giantess crouched beside him, her expression serious. "Then we make a pact," she said. Aaron blinked. "A pact?" "Yes," she said. "Your skill with machines and my strength may keep us alive." She extended her huge hand, palm open like a platform. "You help me fight the Sandlord," she said, "and I will protect you until your sky people return." Aaron looked at her hand, his heart pounding. "You think anyone from the fleet will come?" The giantess nodded once. "The desert sends signals when ships fall," she said. "Others will hear." Aaron hesitated. Staring at her hand, she could crush him in a second. Yet she waited for his answer like an equal. The canyon trembled again. The roar louder now. Aaron took a deep breath. He placed his small hand on her massive palm. "I accept," he whispered. The giantess's lips curved into a fierce smile. "Good," she said, lifting him onto her shoulder again. "Because the Sandlord comes, and our pact begins now." The canyon shook with another roar, closer than ever. The collar on Aaron's wrist pulsed like a living heartbeat, calling to something monstrous in the shadows. And together, bound by survival, they moved deeper into the spine, where the Sandlord's voice echoed like the promise of a storm. The air inside the spine canyons grew colder as the giantess carried Aaron deeper into the twisting darkness. Each step echoed like thunder between the sharp stone walls. The glowing plants flickered behind them until only shadows remained. Aaron gripped the giantess' shoulder tightly. Feeling the collar on his wrist pulse harder and harder, it pulsed in a slow rhythm at first. But now it beat fast, like something alive. "Why is it doing that?" Aaron whispered, terrified. The giantess did not answer at first. Her silver eyes scanned the dark path ahead. Finally, she spoke, her voice low. "It reacts to him," she said. "The Sandlord calls to his mark." Aaron's stomach tightened. He didn't know what the Sandlord looked like. He didn't know if it walked, crawled, or slithered. But he could feel it coming closer. The air around him grew heavy, almost too thick to breathe. The canyon grew wider as they reached a large hollow chamber hidden deep inside the spine. Tall stone pillars curved upward like twisted fingers reaching for the sky. Soft blue mist rose from cracks in the ground, filling the air with a strange, sweet smell. The giantess lowered Aaron gently to the floor. "This place is old," she whispered. "Older than my people." "Older than yours." Aaron stepped forward cautiously. "Why bring me here?" he asked. "Because this is a place where he shows himself," she said. "He likes to meet prey in places with old memories." Aaron shivered. "Meet?" She nodded. "He does not always attack first." A low, deep thrum vibrated the canyon walls. Aaron felt the sound in his bones. Dust rained down from the pillars as the ground trembled again. The giantess took a defensive stance. Placing one massive foot in front of Aaron, "Stay behind me," she warned. "Do not speak unless he speaks first." Aaron swallowed hard, his heart pounding like a drum inside his chest. The mist in front of them twisted, pulling together into a dark, swirling shape. A shadow crawled across the stone floor. Stretching long like a serpent, Aaron stepped back, his breath catching. Then the shadow rose, higher and higher, until it towered above even the giantess. A massive figure formed from the darkness, a creature of armor and shifting sand. Multiple glowing eyes blinked across its face, each one staring at Aaron with cold hunger. Its voice came not from its mouth, but from the air around them. Deep, echoing, ancient, human, it whispered. "You answered my call." Aaron shook his head, stepping back instinctively. "I didn't answer anything," he said weakly. The Sandlord tilted his head, the movement smooth and terrifying. "Your heartbeat answered," he replied, "and the mark on your wrist binds you to me," the giantess growled. Stepping forward, "You will not take him," she said. Her voice filled with fire. The Sandlord's many eyes shifted toward her. "You stand between me and what is mine," he said. His voice rumbled through the canyon like cracking stone. Aaron felt the collar tighten painfully. "Why do you want me?" He cried, "Why humans?" The Sandlord lowered his massive body closer to Aaron, his glowing eyes burning brighter. "Not food," he said, "not flesh." Aaron froze, confused. Then what? The Sandlord extended a claw made of swirling sand and metal. "You are the key," he whispered. "The ancient ship responded to your touch because your blood remembers what your people forgot." Aaron's heartbeat raced. "What does that mean?" The creature leaned closer. "There is a gate beneath this desert," he said. "A door built by humans long ago." The giantess stiffened, surprise flashing in her silver eyes. "A gate." She repeated, "You never said there was a gate." The Sandlord ignored her. His many eyes stared directly into Aaron's. "Open it for me," he said. "And you may live." Aaron stepped back. "Why would I open anything for you?" The Sandlord's voice grew colder, sharper. "If you do not, the desert will take you." The collar pulsed violently, sending pain shooting up Aaron's arm. He fell to his knees, gasping. The giantess moved quickly, placing her hand beside him to shield him from the creature's presence. "Enough," she snarled. "He cannot help you." The Sandlord's eyes narrowed. "He will," the creature replied. or both of you will die." A heavy silence fell across the chamber. Aaron forced himself to breathe. He looked up at the Giantess, then at the towering Sandlord. Two monsters, one promising death, one promising protection, and he was the fragile piece trapped between them. What is this gate?" Aaron whispered. The Sandlord's eyes glowed brighter. "Your destiny," he answered, "and your curse." The canyon trembled again as the Sandlord's shadow thickened. Stretching toward them, the Giantess reached for Aaron, lifting him before the shadow could touch him. "Run," she whispered. Now Aaron didn't argue. He grabbed her thumb for balance as she sprinted into the twisting canyons. Behind them, the Sandlord's voice echoed like the promise of doom. "You cannot run from what you are.